My name is Captain Matt Cooper. The first leadership story and the one that really sticks in my mind was a new aircraft commander at the time back in 2018 where I was flying over northern Syria helping out the A-10s supporting the Kurds in Raqqa. So basically at that time the A-10s had troops in contact where they were directly supporting both Kurds and Americans on the ground in Syria in the city of Raqqa. So with that, the A-10s were performing what's called yo-yo ops. It's where one jet remains directly overhead of the friendly forces, then the other jet climbs to get its gas from us, and then once that one has its gas, they'll basically flip-flop, yo-yo up and down. That way there's always coverage overhead of the friendlies. We had been doing that for probably 45 minutes or so. Each guy had probably gotten one tank of gas. And then when the next guy came back up, unfortunately we had smoke and fumes in the cockpit. With that, we got on our oxygen mask according to the boldface, basically the procedures that you're required to do. So we were on pressurized oxygen at the time. The book tells the crew to basically quit everything you're doing and try to isolate the source of the fire or the smoke and fumes, and at that time return back to the nearest destination of landing. Basically land as soon as practical. We decided to not return home at that time. We did get on oxygen basically to save ourselves, but at that time we decided to stay and continue to give gas to the A-10s to help the guys on the ground that needed it a lot more than we needed to go home at the time. But we did start talking to command and control to get additional tanker support. That way we could go home if the smoke didn't go away. But at that point the smoke did start to subside, probably 10 or 15 minutes in. Ultimately I was the aircraft commander, so I made the decision after talking real briefly with the co-pilot and the boom operator in the back. They were both good to press, good to stay on station, to give the A-10s the gas that they needed. At that time it was probably 2 or 3 in the morning, so we didn't really have a lot of tanker support around us. There were other tankers in Iraq or towards southern Syria, but nothing immediately around us. I just made the decision to stay on station and do what we had to give the gas. At that point, I would say I was leading my subordinates, but basically we're all in it together. As a crew aircraft, it's not leader versus subordinates, it's everyone working together with the aircraft commander making the final decision when it comes down to things like that. How did it impact me with my superiors? I don't think I've honestly ever talked about it, so I don't think anyone there actually knew that we had smoke and fumes. We decided to press with it. It really wasn't that big of a deal. If it did continue, we would have made a bigger deal about it, and obviously gotten on the ground as soon as possible, taking care of the electrical fire as needed. But basically with our superiors, they never really found out about it. The book, the rules and regulations do say that you are required to follow them unless safety of flight dictates or the aircraft commander dictates otherwise. And with that, I basically made the call that at that point it was better to stay on station than it was to go home. So even if one of the superiors or one of the leadership back on base had said I made the wrong call, they weren't there, they weren't in the jet. Ultimately, the guys and girls in the jet make the final decision on what to do. Has it changed any processes? No, but it does reinstate the fact that the aircraft commander has final say when it comes down to basically emergency situations, things that aren't normal. If it's a normal day, yes, you do need to follow the rules and regulations, the processes that are in place. They all exist for a reason. However, you are allowed to deviate, and that basically just reinforced that you are allowed to do what is needed to get the mission done.